Hashim, and Husna Azari. So, these famous authors, they represent different facets of Malaysia. Ethnic Chinese for Tanzania, Malay of Uthman, and regional or rural perspectives. So, their works represent different themes, different ways on how they introduce their country. Like for example, Tanzania, it discusses about war or what are those events happened in their country. So like for example, we have Tanzania, The Gift of Rain. So this novel is set before and during the Japanese occupation of Malaya in World War II. The protagonist, Billy Cotton, is of mixed British Chinese heritage. He learns Aikido from Hayato Endo, a Japanese diplomat. When the Japanese invade, Philip is caught in moral and emotional dilemma. He secretly collaborates with the Japanese to protect his family, yet also passes intelligence to resistance fighters. So, more of his works talks about what are those events happened during the World War II and in those Japanese era. And now, and the other works of authors will be discussed by our next presenters, which is Christian Humanda.
Good day everyone. Today we're going to discuss about the philosophy of the country or the region. So the first bullet that we have is Malaysia is multi-religious and multi-ethnic country. It means that the Malaysia is diverse. So there are so many religions of the Malaysia and they are focused on multi-ethnic groups, so which are the Malay, Chinese, India and Indigenous people. So it means that the Malaysia is practices the different types of religion. So now let's proceed to the second bullet. So the Constitution says that Islam is the official of the federation, but other religions such as Christianity, Buddhism, Indigenous faith are also practiced. So even though the Malaysian country is that Islam is the official language, but the Constitution says that they also practice the different types of religion. So these are the religions, the Christianity, Buddhism, and Indigenous faith, like that. And the third bullet is, according to the Wikipedia 2020, Malaysia's religions is diverse. So here are the evidences that the Malaysian is diverse and the Malaysian religions is diverse. So 63.5% is studying Islam. So this is their official religion, and followed by 18.7% of Buddhism and 1.9% by Christianity. And Christianity may be divided among three groups. So these are the Catholicism, Protestantism, and other Christians. And Catholicism, we have a 4.55% and 3.64% by Protestantism and 0.21% by other Christians. And Hinduism followed by 6.1%. And other unknown followed by 0.9% and 1.8%. So now we're going to see the philosophy of the Malaysians. So one of the national philosophies found by Rukun Negara, or the national principles, whose the first principle is believe in God, or so this book is all about the Malaysia's national ideology created in August 31. This book is all about moral declarations and consisting a paragraph and 5 objectives. So these are the following 5 objectives. So the first one is to achieve unity among Malaysians. Because the Malaysia, from the word unity, like the Malaysia is one to form like groups, even though they are different religions. And the second one, which is to maintain democratic way of life. So the keyword here is democratic. So when we say about democratic, like the people have right to choose their leaders and they also have right to speak out. And also is create just society where prosperity can be enjoyed fairly. So the keyword here is fair. So the Malaysian country is they are fair. So they would like get some wealthiness and also the what do you call this? Also yung opportunities, their opportunities. And the last one, and the fourth one is to ensure a liberal approach to each with diverse cultural traditions. So it means that from the word called cultures, so the Malaysian people, they're open-minded. They're open-minded in terms of their religion. So for example, if your religion is Christian, so they are respect that and also they are celebrating that. And the last one is to build a progressive societies that uses science and modern technology. So the keyword here is progressive, like the Malaysians is adopting some kinds of technology and they are using science and technology. So we have five objectives and also we have the five serve as a guide to achieve this goal. So this is the five serve to achieve their objective. So the first one is believe in God. So in Malaysians that we need to believe in God because that is the importance of the life of the people. It also is loyalty to the king and country, like they are loyal and they are devoted who is the leaders of their country and the supremacy of constitutions, they are fair to each of the people in the Malaysians. And the fourth one is rule of law. The rule of law is they should adapt what is the law of the law and they should be respectful on the law. And the fifth one is courtesy and morality. Like you have a good attitude and good values, like you need to be respectful and like you have a moral values. So now let's proceed to the influences their literature. So here are the several things influence Malaysian literature. So the first one is religion plays a big role in Malaysian literature. Many works include moral and Islamic literature. So that's why the Malaysians include because that religious influences. So their books or the works because most of the religion, especially the Islamic, their works is more on books and stories. So those books or stories have a moral lessons that represent as the Islamic shape. And the second one is before books, people shared stories by speaking. This books lessons about cultures and values. So in the past, the Malaysians is first they have before books. In the past, the Malaysian before books, they are speak it loud, and also those books told the lessons about the cultures and the values. And the last one is literature comes from many groups, Malay, Chinese, and Indian and others. It is written in many languages. So it means that the literature of Malaysians is influenced because there are so many languages and also there are so many religions. So that's why they are influenced because most of the groups there is Malay, Chinese, and Indians, and those Indians guide the different languages. So now let's proceed to the notable authors and their works. So the first one is Usman Awang. So Usman Awang, Awang, also known by his second name Usman Awang. So he was born on July 12, 1989 and died November 29, 2001. So Usman Awang, he is a prominent Malay poet, playwright, and novelist. So his novel talk about the kulang-kulang bersikat or goes about. So now we're going to discuss about what is this novel about. So kulang-kulang bersikat, this is a semi-autobiographical novel by Malaysia's national laureate Usman. So the settings here is Malaya during the emergency Malayan, a period of conflict between British colonists and Malayan communities after World War II. So this logo, in short, like this is about the Liman. So Liman is a policeman. So Liman is an emergency about because their country, which is the Malayan, have a conflict between the British. So this is about World War II. So Malaya and Liman have a difficulties during their struggles along the war. And that's why the author wrote this because this is their story. So this is logos reflect to him because Usman is a policeman. So he wrote this because he fight for their independence during this era. So the theme is colonialism because Usman is fighting for their independence even though it's hard. So the moral of the lesson of this novel is about it's hard to fight for our independence because it might sacrifice ourselves and also you might become an ally or you might become an offering or tribute. So now let's proceed to another notable authors. So her name is Salmi Manha. So he born on 1937 and died in 2003. So she was a Malay novelist, poet, journalist. So one of her novels is Hari Mana Balan Mana. So in English, What They What Want. So Hari Mana Woman Mana is about woman's struggle, intermarriage, and femininity, why femininity, because she includes what this woman is living like, faith, thinking, and also the society and also the Islam because she influences that Islam, she like you need to be faith and you need to faith and also doing what is right and wrong. And the last one is woman issues because she points out her novels about the women's struggles, like the woman's face, about the inequality, the house problems, and also the societies where the woman be then limited freedom like that. So Sandy Maika wrote this novel because he wants their readers to know what the life of the woman. Like they should give a voice of the woman to speak, and also they should give a woman like freedom. So the themes is woman independence because of the woman's freedom, and also the characters is Sal, a mother independent woman, and something of the life. So this novel is all about Sal. So Sal, she's a reporter. During her reporter, she observing the women is staying in her room. So they don't have right to work because their husband. So her husband is some traditional. He is traditional Malay. So Sal is something to get married and Samson wants Sai to stay at home, but Sal didn't want to do that. So because she is a mother, so she's a mother and independent woman, so she needs to do what he wants. And the lesson is very is something equality is that you need to support what as a man, you need to support your women's wants to be like, for example, if they want to freedom, so if your woman wants to schooling, so you need to support that woman. So that's all.
Now, let's proceed to the Indonesian country. So first, we're going to talk about its history and its background. So Indonesia is a large archipelago in Southeast Asia with thousands of islands and many cultures. So Indonesia is made up of over 17,000 islands, making it one of the most influential and diverse countries in the world. And it island has its own language, cultures, and their way of life. And ancient kingdoms like Srivijaya and Majapahit shaped early Indonesian civilization. So these kingdoms built the foundations of Indonesia's cultures, traditions, trades, and their beliefs. With spreading Hinduism and Buddhism and connecting Indonesia with other countries. And let's proceed to the third slide, which is Islam spread in the 30th century and became the main religion. And so, because of the Muslim traders brought Islam to coastal areas or through ports and coastal areas, and the religion it became a dominant faith across the countries. And the Dutch ruled Indonesia for over 300 years as a colony. So the Dutch East India Company and later the Dutch government controlled the Indonesia resources in trade, marking it as a long period of colonial growth. Now let's proceed to during World War II, Japan occupied Indonesia. So from 1942 to 1945, Japan took control of the Indonesia country, which weakened the Dutch power and inspired Indonesia to fight for their independence. So on August 17, 1945, Sukarno and Hatta declared independence, officially recognized in 1949. So after Japan's defeat, Sukarno and Muhammad Hatta proclaimed independence, and of course the Dutch countries resist, but it officially recognized the sovereignty of Indonesian countries. So today, Indonesia is a democratic and diverse nation with the motto unity and diversity. So now let's proceed with the cultures and tradition of the Indonesian country. First, ancient Indonesian culture was shaped by local beliefs and Chinese influences through trade. So trade brought new religion, arts, and ideas. So blending it with local costumes and to form a unique Indonesian cultural identity. So early kingdoms like Srivijaya and Majapahit spread Hinduism and Buddhism across the island. So it is considered as a cultural because religion deeply influenced Indonesia's society, education, and art. And so the way people worship, built temples, and told stories became the cultural habits that defined life in ancient Indonesia. Temples such as Borobudur and Prambanan show ancient artistic and religious achievements. And so these are cultural symbols showing Indonesia's early architecture and spirituality and creativity. Building and visiting these temples considered as traditions as well as cultural expression. Wayang or shadow puppetry was a popular art or mystical, moral, and spiritual story. So this is considered as a cultural value because it reflects Indonesia's moral values and traditions, and it shows how people express their stories and wisdom. So the value of Utong Tuyong show the importance of community life. This is a cultural value because shows how people think and live, which emphasizes the community cooperations. And it is practiced traditionally, like for example, in farming and building houses together. And let's proceed to the next, which is many ancient traditions like batik making and harvest festivals began in this period and still continue today. And so batik is a traditional art that a skill and design method passed from ancestors. And harvest festivals, it is a traditional celebration to give thanks to the nature for the crops, showing how spiritual belief and community life come together. And so these early cultures about the foundation of Indonesia's diverse and creative identity.
So now, let's proceed to the philosophy of Indonesia. The philosophy of Indonesia centered on its state ideology called Pancasila. So what is this Pancasila? Pancasila means 5 pillars in Sanskrit, or in Sanskrit we all know it's an ancient Indo-Aryan language of India, often called the language of the gods. The Pancasila was first articulated on June 1, 1945 by Sukarno. Sukarno to the Preparatory Committee for Independence. Sukarno was the first president of Indonesia who was serving the country from 1945 to 1967. So, what are these 5 principles? First, we have the belief in one supreme God, or in Indonesia, it's Ketuhanan Yang Maha Esa. These principles teach us that all Indonesians must believe in and respect one Almighty God according to their own religion or faith. This principle promotes religious tolerance and mutual respect among followers of different beliefs. The number 2, we have just and civilized humanity, or in Indonesian, it's kemanusiaan yang adil dan beradab. So, this principle emphasizes human rights, justice, and respect for others. It also encourages Indonesians to treat each other with fairness, compassion, and civility. The third one we have the unity of Indonesia. Or in Indonesia, it's Persatuan Indonesia. This principle stresses the importance of national unity despite Indonesia's vast diversity of culture, languages, and religions. This principle also promotes the national motto Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, or what we call in English the unity in diversity. It also encourages Indonesians to put the interests of the nation above personal or group interests. So the fourth principle is democracy guided by the wisdom of deliberation and representation. Or in Indonesian, it's kerakyatan yang dipimpin oleh hikmat kebijaksanaan dalam permusyawaratan. So this principle expresses Indonesia's belief in democracy, where decisions are made through discussion, or what they call musyawara, and consensus, or what they also call mufakat. This principle, it values collective decision-making guided by wisdom and fairness. The last but not the least, we have the social justice for all Indonesians. Or in Indonesian, it's Keadilan Sosial bagi seluruh rakyat Indonesia. This principle focuses on equality, fairness, and prosperity for everyone. It calls for the fair distribution of wealth and opportunities. This principle also promotes efforts to eliminate poverty and improve the welfare of all the citizens in Indonesia. So that is for the philosophy of Indonesia. Now let's move on to what influences Indonesia's pieces of literature. Indonesia's literature is very rich and diverse because it has been influenced by many cultures, histories, and beliefs over thousands of years. These influences shaped by themes, styles, and languages used in Indonesian literary works. So, Indonesia's pieces of literature are mainly influenced by the following. First, we have the indigenous or local traditions. So this one Malin Kundang, or this is the folk tale about obedience and karma. The second thing that influences Indonesia's pieces of literature is the Hindu and Buddhist influence. So, from around the 1st to 13th centuries, Hinduism and Buddhism deeply influenced the kingdoms of Indonesia, especially in Java and Sumatra. So, literature from this period used Sanskrit, or what we call language of the god, and the old Japanese, and explored religious moral and the heroic themes. So, with old Japanese, it is also known as the Awi, is an ancient Austronesian language spoken in Indonesia. So, an example of it is the Ramayana and Mahabharata. The third one is the Islamic influence. For the Islamic influence, it is when Islam spread throughout Indonesia from the 13th century onward. It brought new literary forms and themes to the Indonesian literature. From this period, writers began producing religious poems, moral stories, and historical chronicles inspired by the Islamic teaching. So, an example of it is the Hikayat Hang Tua, or it is a Malay epic. The fourth one is the Western or the colonial influence. So, in this, during Dutch colonization, that was in the 17th to 20th centuries, Western education and ideas entered Indonesia. So, this period introduced modern literature with themes of freedom, justice, and nationalism. From this period, writers began using Indonesian language and focus on social issues. So, an example is the Siti Nurbaya by Mara Rushdie. The fifth one is the nationalism and independence. So during and after independence, that was in 1945 onward, literature became a tool to express national identity and social change. So themes of patriotism, struggle, equality, and modernization became popular. And an example would be the works of Charil Anwar, that is about poems of freedom. And so the last one that influences the Indonesian literature is the modern global and social influences. So today, Indonesian literature continues to evolve with globalization and technology and the contemporary issues. So modern authors write about love, gender, politics, environment, and cultural identity. So works are published in both Indonesian and English, reaching international readers.
Let's go on the famous authors and the works of Malaysian and Indonesia. First, the Malaysian have Samad Sai. His work, Salina, Chad published. Samad Sai is one of Malaysia's national laureates. His novel, Salina, portrays workers' struggles and the lives of the urban poor in Kuala Lumpur. Known for his poetic writing and social realism, he uses literature to explore humanity, justice, and moral dilemmas. The second one is Usman Awang. His works are Inyak Seorang Pahlawan and Sakaparito. Matinya Seorang Pahlawan. Usman Awang was a poet and playwright celebrated for his simple yet powerful language. His works reflect love, friendship, and equality, often touching social justice and the unity of humankind. He is regarded as the people's poet of Malaysia. The third one is Rashid Ahmad. His work is Ranjau Sepanjang Jalan. A national laureate and professor, Ahmad's novels depict the hardships of rural Malay and the moral challenges of life. Ranjau Sepanjang Jalan is considered a Malaysian classic for its
raw portrayal of poverty and perseverance. Now let's go on to Indonesia. The number one author is from India, Malaysia. His works are Anak Semua Bangsa, Penjajah Tuhan. Pramudya is Indonesia's most renowned author. His puruk-hearted novels